Welcome to Business Smarts Radio with Tom and Dr. Dave, the clean approach to building your successful business. Now, let's introduce Tom Borg and Dr. Dave Miles. Welcome to Business Smarts Radio with Tom and Dr. Dave, where we bring you the clean approach to running your successful business. And when we mean clean, we are not talking about spick and span and dust mops. This podcast is all about bringing you the clean approach. And it's an acronym. And everything we do revolves around communication, leadership, engagement.
And no drama.
And no drama. Because, man, drama in the workplace really seems to mess things up. So we're happy to continue a series that we talked about. We were talking about the 3 proven methods to help your team work better together and to grow your company profits. And so we talked about that 2 episodes ago. Last episode, the very first one of the 3 was about giving respect to others that were in your company, whether you're talking about your boss, your coworkers, and particularly the people that work underneath of you. Because to recap, your employees, how you treat your employees is how they're going to treat the customers. And if you want to keep and retain customers, because that's what you do in business, you have to treat your employees just as well or better, because they're poor filtration systems and they take what you give them and they give that to the customer. So respect was number 1. The second of the 3 that we talked about was praise. And that's what we want to cover today, is how praise is the second of the 3 keys that you can use to help your team work better together. So tell me a little bit about praise, Tom.
Well, Dave, as we mentioned the last time, praise pays.
Yes.
Costs nothing to give, but it pays big dividends. So when we're talking about giving people the opportunity to shine, to stand a little closer to the sun, it's not, this isn't rocket science we're talking about here. It's just being real with the people that work for us, that dedicate their lives to working for our organization. If we can give them some praise, some honest feedback that we can give them that allows them to just be a little bit taller as they walk through the room because of this praise that we heap on their shoulders, I think that's going in the right direction with the culture that we're trying to build within our organizations.
Oh, absolutely. And here's the thing: when you come to work, how does the energy of the workplace and your energy level towards the workplace contribute to your happiness, your engagement, and your productivity? We had talked about this before the podcast. When you wake up and you're not necessarily doing cartwheels and woo, I can't wait to get to work today, but at least you have that level of energy and you're excited to go to work and you're passionate about what you do. At least you're happy to be there around people that you care about, that care about you, and that you're doing good work for a good reason. That goes a long way versus the stereotypical, oh my gosh, it's Monday morning, I've got to get up out of bed, I hate this job, I hate the commute, rah, rah, rah. And that just saps your energy. And we spend a third of our waking day or more, most of the time more, at work. And you're spending so much time there. Do you really want it to be that big of a drain on your energy, your life, your soul? I mean,
of course not.
You don't.
And Dave, that's one of the things we talked about before. That's what drives people away. We talked about this business of the percentage of people that are not staying with your organizations. I think you have something for us about that, but this is going to drive that message home. If we have the right kind of environment, people are going to want to stay at our place of employment. They're going to want to be engaged.
Absolutely. And we talked about the last time when we first covered all 3 of these, that there was a national study that you had quoted that lack of appreciation, this is how big of a problem it was. With 60% of the participants in this one national survey had reported that they had never, not just occasionally, not every once in a while, never received any positive reinforcement on the job.
Do you believe that? Boy, it's terrible.
Unfortunately, yes, I can believe that. I've been in jobs before where I know that's the case, and it's and it's bad. And same thing, it doesn't. You're right. It doesn't cost anything to give. It's big dividends. But let's take a recent study that just came out, a recent article from the Society for Human Resource Management, and let's take a look at how that plays into this. So you've got this one study that you talked about this last podcast, about 60% of the participants had never received any positive feedback.
Right.
Well, what? How do you feel when you get positive feedback? You feel appreciated. You feel
Mm-hmm.
valued.
Mm-hmm.
I laugh because the article that I'm referencing right now from Sherman says job hoppers seek better rewards, recognition, and career growth. That's the three reasons why people are leaving. And we'll get into that in
Mm-hmm.
just a second. But the underneath of that, the subtitle for the article I thought was very telling to our podcast today. That's why I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to bring this up. It says feeling unappreciated pushes employees out the door.
Hmm.
With a national unemployment rate of 3.5%, and I know in our region, in the greater Winchester area, northern Shenandoah Valley, we're running about 2.5%.
Well, that's really low, I'll tell you.
At 4% is full employment,
Mm.
and you're running 2.5 to 3.5%. Can
Mm.
you afford to push employees out the door?
Not this day and not any day in the future.
No, it's expensive anyway. Today it could be crippling because you don't have 40, 50 people waiting in line for that job. You can't have that attitude of, that's fine, go ahead and leave. I got 10 more
Mm-hmm.
people that can take your job tomorrow, because you don't.
That's right.
Now let's get into the article, because I really like the way that this framed the context. And this is something I think that all of our listeners, whether you work for a business or you own a business or you manage a business, could really take some nuggets out of this and put them to use. One, there was a study, the 2020 Engagement and Retention Report from a company called The Achievers. It's an employee recognition software firm. They do an
Mm-hmm.
annual report.
Okay.
And this year for 2020, they talked about 33%, a full one-third of employees are absolutely committed to staying in their job in 2020. But that's a third. You're like, okay, is that good? Is that bad? What's the context? Did it go up? Did it go
Mm-hmm.
down? Here's the context. Here's the punchline on that particular statistic that Sherm talks about.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, the 2019 report, just 1 year ago, 47% said that they were fully committed to staying in their job.
Oh.
So in 2019, you just about half of the people that worked for you, 47%. Hey, I'm here. I'm good to go. I'm solid. I'm not looking for anything. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm not looking for another job. This year, you've gone from a half to only down to a third. So if 2/3 of the people are looking, why are they looking? And the article goes to talk about finding out different reasons. How engaged are you? And it gets into all of that. But it cites 3 specific reasons that are the top 3 reasons why people are looking for other jobs.
Okay.
2 of the 3 you may not be able to do anything about. The third one is the topic of today's podcast. Number 1, compensation. It's a big one. People leave for more money. I get that. Everyone has bills to pay and they want to do better for themselves.
That's right.
Completely understand. The second reason, or the second of the top 3, was career growth. People want to feel like they're not stuck. They have purpose. They can move up in an organization. And even if it's not for a tremendous amount more money, they feel like, okay, I get this. I have a career path I can go by. I can work hard. I can be here in a couple of years, and I can move to here. I can move to there. And they see a path for growth.
So they see a career ladder, something in place for them that's going to help them move up. Okay.
And even if it's not there now, I'm at a small company, I'm at a startup, I'm at a mid-sized company, but we're growing. And as I put my effort into the company and the company grows and develops, that's going to create more positions.
Mm-hmm.
I have to hire to fill the work, and that's going to create more management positions, and that's where I'm going to be able to move up. So even if they're not there now, they can see the career growth in the future. That keeps them good. So compensation is one, career growth is the second one. The third one is recognition.
There we go.
People leave because they feel unheard and unrecognized. Think about the subtitle for the article. Feeling unappreciated pushes employees out the door. So how hard is it, really, to be able to give that little bit of praise to make people feel appreciated?
Well, Dave, let me ask you this. Why do you suppose so many of these business owners or leadership teams, why don't they give appreciation to their employees? What are some of the reasons?
I think sometimes, honestly, we get busy. And we're so focused on doing the task at hand, which needs to be done. A lot of times businesses are shorthanded. They're trying to run lean, and they may not have the money to be able to do everything. So the one business owner, even if you have 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 or 12 employees, great. But guess what? You probably, now use an example from SHRM. You
Mhm.
also may be the HR person because is HR your specialty? Compliance, pay, benefits, all that, uh, com- all sorts of things, equal opportunity, best hiring practices, all these things. But guess what? You don't have enough staff. You don't have a big
Mm.
enough company to hire a part-time or full-time HR professional to do that. So you're filling. My point is, you're filling all these different roles.
Mm.
And really, people are busy,
They
and
don't think, yeah.
they don't think
They
about
don't
it.
feel they have the time. I got to tell you this. One of the clients I was working with some time ago, shocked at what he said. When he made the comment to me, they receive a paycheck. And I'm not making this up. They receive a paycheck. That's all the gratification they need. They get a paycheck, and I give them a bonus once a year if they've earned it. He didn't think there was a need for actually praising his employees.
Well, the cool part about that is they can vote with their feet. They might
That's
agree with
yeah,
that statement. They might not agree with that statement.
yeah. I'm not saying
But
anything.
the thing is, they can vote with their feet. And depending, it's funny you mentioned that because the article does go in. Why do people stay? And it's all turnover bad. And it talks about that turnover obviously is disruptive. It's costly. I mean, it's just a huge theme of mine. Is trying to what can we do to reduce turnover because it is so costly. But there are places where you have poor performing employees that do stay. And why?
Hmm.
Why do they do so? Because one, two things. They said it might be overpaid and they may value their benefits. If
Mm.
you have a poor employee that you don't have other means and ways of saying, okay, this is my expectation of you. You need to meet that expectation. You're not going to be here. And they're overpaid. They're like, wow, in my market, I can't go anywhere else to make the money I'm making now.
Hmm.
I don't like it. I'm disengaged. I don't want to be here, but I can't make any more money anymore else. So I have no intention of still going.
So in
Or
other words, they've quit, but they just didn't tell their employer.
correct. The other
Mm-hmm.
one is their benefits. Wow,
Mm-hmm.
I hate this place. I don't want to be here. The job
Mm.
stinks, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. All the negative stuff you hear.
Right.
And a lot of it in some organizations deserved, well deserved
Mm-hmm.
criticism for the way some bosses and managers treat their folks or just in general run the organization. But they get a good benefit package and they call it, golden handcuffs. You've heard the term
Mm-hmm.
before.
Sure.
Like, I need the benefits.
Yeah.
I have to. I can't go anywhere else and get this. So I'm just going to,
Hmm.
like you said, quit without turning in my formal resignation.
Now they just keep showing up for work every day, and yeah, I hear you. Yep,
That's exactly it.
that's disappointing. The other side of that too is when you think about the within that culture, within that organization, you've got people that are coming to work and they're in a job. Maybe they're not in the right job. So maybe that's
Mm,
part of their attitude. Now that could be a topic of another show here. But back to what you're
absolutely.
talking about, back to this praising business. Yeah, that's something
Yes.
our leaders need to pay attention to, and it's not being the type of person that's being soft when you're praising people, but it's
Mm,
really a solid investment in that person that you value as an employee or as a team player.
absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. You want when you're praising people, you need it to be authentic. You need to be genuine. It doesn't
Exactly.
say that people are leaving because of
Must be.
lack of praise. It says they're leaving because they feel unheard and unrecognized and unappreciated.
That's right.
And that doesn't come from just lip service praise. That's
Mm-hmm.
not what we're talking about here.
No, there's a lot
I
more
fully,
to it.
absolutely. And we've talked about this in other podcasts, and like you said, is a good topic for another one.
Mm-hmm.
You have to genuinely have an interest and care for the welfare of people. If you don't care for them and you don't want their best interest as well as the best interest of the organization, you're not they're going to realize that.
Well, they're going to
If,
see that. You bet.
exactly. It's no different. If you as an employer are nothing but a paycheck to them, you'll see it. On the
Mm-hmm.
flip end of the coin, if you're like the client you were talking about that, well, they don't need any praise or recognition other than the fact that their paycheck clears every 2 weeks.
Yeah. Hmm.
The employees see that too, and guess what? They might not be there anymore.
Yeah. Well, like you said earlier, they may show up but not be totally engaged, and so we're paying somebody for 50% of their potential productivity. So again,
Yep.
maybe they're not going to go someplace else, but they're not going to give it 100% or even 75% working for what they're getting paid.
Absolutely. It falls into the category
Sure
of
thing.
what I like to talk about the unholy contract.
What's that? The unholy contract.
Unholy contract. What that is let's just say you and I were walking down the hallway And
Mm-hmm.
I kind of look at you, you kind of look at me, we kind of nod our head, we keep going.
Mm.
Unholy contract is this, and this is way too prevalent in the workplace. I'm going to pay you, Tom, just enough not to quit,
Hmm.
and you're going to work just hard enough not to get fired. And that's
It's
the
terrible.
unholy contract. And that's how a lot of our organizations just
It's true.
exist. They don't thrive, they don't succeed, they don't grow, they're not dynamic. They exist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. David, I bet you there's statistics out there on how much it costs companies when they have unproductive employees that show up and stay in their organization. And I'm sure it's
Oh my,
millions and billions of dollars, probably. If we look at the
absolutely, it is, and that's something that you can always contact Tom or myself, and we have lots of tools to be able to help you as an individual business owner or organization to do that.
Mhm.
Cost of turnover, cost of engagement. You're right. There's tons of stats out there. There's tons of ways to do that, but it's amazing the people that don't even look at their employee engagement. And
Mhm.
then the ones that do, how many of them they do it to check the box because some regulatory agency or they feel like they have to, and then that goes into a whole different series of, hey, it's employee engagement season.
Mhm.
We're prepping for the exam. We're going to make sure that everybody gets their chicken biscuits and pizza before we give them the chit to take the exam. And if we don't like the results, we're just going to fire the consultant and get a new one. And that's different.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, after the survey comes out, we're going to lament on how bad it was. We're going to tell the employees how great it was. And then all of a sudden, guess what? We forget about it for 10 more months, and then till it's back to employee engagement season again when the signs and the banners and the festivities go up to try to coax a better score.
Yeah. Well, so what are some of the things business owners, leaders can do in their companies today, and for little or no dollars, that could show some recognition to the people that work for them?
I think just like I said, finding ways that you can legitimately and authentically try to praise somebody and just, hey, great job. And if you're having a hard time looking for that, there's a couple different resources. Two things. One, you had a two-part formula that we talked about last time that I want to cover again now, which is really good. Plus, there's all kinds of outside resources that you can look. Talk about the one book you were telling me about.
Yeah, we got a book right here. Pulled it off the shelf earlier.
1,001 Ways to Reward Employees. It's just something to jog.
By Bob Nelson.
By Bob Nelson. It's just something to get some ideas.
Yeah, and most of them are low cost or no cost. So there's plenty. Well, here's one that he talks about in the book. Oftentimes when you pull into a large company, they have parking spaces set aside for the CEO, the president. So he suggests, why not get rid of those parking spaces? Some of his best clients have done this. They've gotten rid of those parking spaces, designated parking spaces for the CEO, CFO, etc., and they allow their employees to park up front. Or some of the companies will have special spaces set aside for Employee of the Month, and that'll be something that is a way to recognize people and doesn't cost anything. So
I've seen exactly that, Employee of the Month, and then maybe a couple other ones, and maybe have some kind of recognition program where the employees amongst themselves want to recognize somebody who's gone above and beyond and help their coworkers and done something and have them vote on who gets that next space.
Yeah, so empowering the employees themselves to come up with a strategy to reinforce positive recognition to their peers. Sure.
Absolutely, because the recognition doesn't always have to be top down. It's really good when your coworker recognizes you as well. But you have to kind of set those systems up and processes in place and put those things together so people can do that on a regular basis. And
good idea.
You as the leader, you as a business owner, you have to kind of get the momentum going. And once you have that system going and it's self-sustaining, you just have to just a little bit of maintenance to keep it going, which is fantastic. And people do appreciate that because, like I said, 3 reasons they seek new employment. They want a higher salary, they're feeling unappreciated or undervalued, and they lack growth opportunities. And that's, we can get, like I said, all of those could be a different podcast, but just some of the other ones, just for curiosity's sake, because I think there were 10 of them, things like poor management. Maybe they want better benefits. They feel the leadership is poor. And they actually broke that out separately. They talk about they don't like the company culture, or they want more meaningful work, or the work-life balance is poor. So there's lots of reasons, but I thought it's striking the top 3, especially feeling unappreciated and undervalued for this. So you talked about last time that 2-part formula.
Sure. So let's share that with our listeners right now.
Absolutely.
So what we talked about, and we want to dive into a little bit deeper here. So when you're looking to praise people, oftentimes people hesitate in giving any praise. One reason for that is they're afraid that they're going to be rejected or people are going to discount what they've said. So as a rule, they try to just not do anything. Well, what we first have to do is get over that fear of praising others. And here's a little formula to give us something to remember what to
Okay.
praise about them. We call it the TAP formula, TAP, acronym. T stands for things that they own. Okay, maybe it's a person's clothing, maybe it's a car they own, or it's something that they ownership to. The
Gotcha.
A is for achievement, something the person has achieved. Maybe it's a certification, maybe it's a college diploma, maybe it's some type of a company recognition that they've received in the past. So some type of achievement. The last
Okay.
part of that formula, the P, something that would be a personal quality, something like enthusiasm. Maybe they're a hard worker, maybe they go the extra mile, maybe they're a person that's got a good attitude towards tackling tough problems. So these are things that we can recognize in other people and point that out to them, praise them with that. So these are some of the areas we can praise. How do we do it? Well, first we want to pay them the compliment, pay them, share the strength with them, but at the
Okay.
same time we've got to give evidence to them. All right. So let's go to this second formula, SES.
Sure.
First, you have to be sincere. Give that whatever you're complimenting. Be sincere about it. Second, the E is give evidence. So let's say, for instance, if a person has worked hard and gone the extra mile to complete a project, they're really they're going to get this done. The person praising them would say something like, Joe, I really appreciate the way you went the extra mile last week to close that project off that we had to get done by the deadline. I just want you to know what you did has not gone unnoticed. So giving some evidence, point out what that actual praiseworthy activity was, that's good to do. And then finally, the last thing, the SES formula, the S stands for short. Keep it short. Don't go on and on talking about it because that makes that person uncomfortable. And certainly it probably raises the possibility that you'll never even give another compliment because you got too uncomfortable giving it, spending too much time with it. So the SES formula, be sincere, give evidence, and keep it short.
I
Very
like
simple.
that a lot. And at least you have the tap to find things.
Yeah,
Like
things.
what do I compliment them on?
Mm-hmm.
Things they own, wear, drive, things, personal items, personal
Yeah.
effects,
Mm-hmm.
achievements. Like I said, things they've maybe done at work, promotions, honors, degrees, and like I said, the personal items like their character, their trait, their attitude.
Yes.
Attitudes and behaviors are a really good one. I wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
because you can talk about people's traits, they're loyal, they're trustworthy, things like that. But specifically when you talk about an attitude that they're bringing to work
Oh
or a
yeah.
behavior that they're bringing to work, especially if it's a positive one that you want them to replicate and
Oh
you
yeah.
want other people to replicate, they see that being praised, they
Very
want the
important.
recognition. That's a great thing to be able to put in there. If you also
Absolutely.
you need some
Well,
other ideas, that 1500 what 1001 ways to
yeah.
recognize,
Well,
please,
that's one of them. We
great
just
book
got another one out
recommendation.
that's got 1,501 ways now. But here's something back to what you just said, Dave. Too often, the culture, the negative side of a culture, will bring down the positive people. The people that come
Yep.
in there, they're really eager to work and they're really excited about coming to work. If we're not careful, the people that are in the organization that are more pessimistic will do a terrific job of punching a hole in that balloon of that person who's optimistic and upbeat, and that will become kind of the way of the culture, just that
Yep.
pessimistic approach to working. So we got to be careful that what we're reinforcing in our organization. If we reinforce the positives, we're going to see more of that.
And I think sometimes we accidentally reinforce things not from a deliberate and intentional standpoint, but
Mm.
it's because culture, one definition of culture is what are you willing to accept in your
Mm-hmm.
organization. So if you're willing to overlook it and accept it, and it continues to, you accept that negative behavior, you tolerate that negative behavior, eventually
Sure.
that becomes the
Mm.
norm, that becomes the culture.
That's
And like I
right.
said, with the new people, it's almost like crabs in a crab pot. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
bring them back down. And so that way, like, this is the norm. This is the way we do things here. This is our
Yeah,
culture. And what do? You drive out of your good performers, and then at the end, you're left with your mediocre performers that
that's
aren't
right.
helping you.
There you
not
go.
in the way that they could. So those are the three things. Like I said, the tap, the be sincere, give evidence, and the short. And I just wanted to stress to the employee, to everybody that's listening, when you're talking about your employees, recognition and praise is huge. It's important. I couldn't stress enough that it has to be authentic. Like Tom said, it has to be sincere. You have to really mean it, and you want that for your employees, and you want to foster that amongst each other as well, and that kind of peer-to-peer recognition. That is a
Hmm.
fantastic thing. So where can people go to find out maybe a little bit more about what their turnover rates are costing them, maybe their engagement? They want to find out a little bit more about getting into that into detail.
Well, Dave, one of the best places is good old Google. Just go ahead and Google it online there, and they'll come up with all kinds of statistics and reasons why they should do a better job of praising their employees.
Good deal. And
What are some of the ones you can think of?
well, I know both of us have different calculators that we use, that we get from where we get our assessment packages and tools. I mean, there's a lot of things. There's tools and things that we have too that we can
Oh,
also work with them
yes.
specifically on. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
can always go to our website. You can always take a look. You always reach out to us. But like Tom said, there's a lot of things out there. We're more than happy to help you with that.
Oh,
But
yes.
also, there's so many resources that are out there. The most important thing is just look into it, no matter where and how you get the information.
Well,
Get
and
it.
Dave too, they could give us a call if you have a question about any of these topics we're talking about. Feel free to give us a call or check out our website, set an appointment to have a conference call with us. We'll be happy to share some of our insights and no charge for that. Just give you some ideas that'll help you run a better business. Feel free to reach out to Dave or myself.
Yeah, and that's my big thing. That big thing is make sure that you get the information, no matter
Hmm.
where you get it from. Like I said, we are happy to help, and it's always nice every once in a while to let everybody know that. But just go out there, research it, find the information, get the stuff, put it into place, try to make your organization better, more productive, and just remember this: we all spend way too much time at work for it to
Mm,
be a miserable place to be.
well said.
So that wraps up our this episode of Business Parts Radio with Tom and Dr. Dave, where we bring you the clean approach to running your successful business. And next episode, we will be talking about the third of the three keys to help your team work better together and also help grow your company profits. And that'll be never criticizing. So until
Mm.
next week, we will see you later and take care.